Sharks look like a pretty well-oiled machine, Barn, but what did the stats say?
Yeah, they clicked at different times. It was some pretty impressive footy for a fair chunk of this game, actually, from the Sharks. We had 2 tries to 6, 2 out of 2 conversions, played 5 out of 6, and 1 out of 1 penalty goals for the Sharks. 75% completion for the Dragons, played 72% from Cronulla. 30 out of 40 sets, played 31 out of 43. 2 line breaks to 7, 25 tackle busts to 31, 8 offloads to 11, 1 forced dropout by the Sharks, 0 40-20s, 305 tackles, played 329, 1 ruck infringement by the Sharks, and 0 inside the 10s from both teams. 7 penalties conceded to 8, 9 errors, played 12, 1 sin bin from the Dragons to 2 from the Sharks. Moses Mbai with 41 tackles, Brayley with 42, Lomax with 125 metres, and Ikavalu with 194. Laurie missed 6 tackles, but made 34. Bird made 19, missed 5. Moylan made 10 and missed 6.
What did you take from it?
Oh, well, first 10 minutes was pretty back and forth, pretty even, tough contest, I thought. But Sharks started to win field position. They dominated the middle for pretty much the rest of the game after that first 10 minutes, I thought. And that just led to time and space for the outside backs from the Sharks. The 10 in the bin swung the game the Sharks' way, and they definitely put their foot down at that time, put a few points on, and then there was no turning back realistically there from the Sharks. It was a 50-50 call realistically. He did cop him on the chin with a bit of force, but
So you're talking about?
yeah, whether he probably could have been penalty sufficient, but
Is that
it is what it is.
maybe because now he's
starting to get the reputation.
Well, yeah, he's Jaden Sewer. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Sharks cashed in there with some nice ball movement, put on some points. The Dragons tried as hard as they could to hang in there, but they just couldn't match the energy and the ball movement that the Sharks were putting out there for the rest of the first half and a good part of the second half too. So Hynes' kicking game's starting to really impress me, actually. He seems to be able to kick long, kick high, and put it on the spot when they need to. So if you can keep that up, that's a good sign for the Sharks. Hunt was easily the best player from the Dragons, I thought. Jack DeBellin and Francis Milo were actually pretty strong through the middle, but they needed a few more friends in this game. Lomax and Sully, there's something there with those two. They're going to cause some teams some problems, but they were shut down fairly well. Laurie and Bird did a job. I thought Ikavalu was tremendous, especially out of the back end for the Sharks. His metres out of bad ball position. He was charging onto the ball even after he went down with an ankle injury. He kept turning up. Nakora and Finnegan were probably the best forwards on the ground. Brayley was good again. He's starting to really impress me, actually. So no, that's pretty much my thoughts on the game. So.
No, all good. I think this was where they played out a bit of what Barney, while I'm doing this, I might get you to run inside and just mute that TV if I can.
Yeah.
You can
He's sick of hearing our good friend's
Our
voice.
good friend Braith, but he can go. I've had enough. I've just muted my own channel. All right, so yeah, as I was about to say, this was really the sort of the embodiment of what we worried about with the Dragons before the season, where their middle forwards started getting owned, and then they had not a lot of path back, I thought, and that set up the play. Where's he going? Anyway. Ollie, can you run inside? No, that's right. I'll get him when he comes back.
Barney's gone AWOL, everyone.
Barney's gone to the bar on the way, so that's fine. Anyway, as I was saying, that led to the Sharks being able to set up what they want to do. Their left to right play with their lateral ball movement's probably as good as anyone in the comp at the moment, I'd say. Their ability to just get the ball going left and right and actually mean something more than on the more than what it does for a lot of other teams go left to right. It doesn't mean anything. Nico's growing into his role, as Barnes said, and the only other thing I want to say, because I'm sure you guys will cover it off pretty well, is that I thought Ben Hunt was fantastic under the situation, and my moment of the game almost was the late shot from Moylan on him that Moylan ended up on his ass. I laughed and laughed at that one, but Gumpy, I'll let you go next, if you can.
Yeah, the problem comes down to when I know I've spoken about it a couple of times. St George are too small. They've got no size. Cronulla just monstered them for size. The big guys, Hamlin Ueli and Toby Rudolph and Hunt and even Talakai and Ramian and the bigger backs, and they had no answer to it. St George are going to struggle all year for size. Very concerned with the the defence, and I know he's a rookie, and I know he's very good, but Terrell Sloan a couple of times did the old Olay full fighter where he stuck his arm out and just let blokes run past him. And late in the game, he was hooked to the wing. I don't know where that sort of leaves them. In terms, they've got to persist with him, and I know that there's been plenty of players that have had defensive deficiencies in the past, and he's not very big, but you've got to get your body in front, and I don't know that he did that. He's fullback, and he shouldn't have to make that many tackles, but the size, Cronulla just monstered them. Nico is amazing, and he has to be an outsider now for, well, a bolter for the Dally M. I think if Cronulla win more games than they lose, I think Nico's going to poll a lot of points. And Brayley's a new player this year. He looks a bit bigger, fitter, stronger than he has been in the past. And I think that's half their spine that are high quality. And then Will Kennedy's going good. And if Moylan can just be Moylan and good with the ball and make his tackles, I think Cronulla, we predicted top 8, but they could even be consistent enough to be a top 4 team if a couple of the other teams that we predict fall over a little bit. I really like the Sharks and how they're going. I'll get on to my first rant, though, I know Barney brought up the Jaden Sewer incident, and they're talking about sin bins and that for forceful contact. Get the word forceful out of it. Every tackle is forceful.
Yeah.
True.
If I tackle you, it's forceful. There is force. You need force to stop someone or put them on the ground. So if you're using the word forceful, it's ridiculous, and they've thrown another layer on for refs to say, okay, is it forceful? What's too forceful? Do they have to knock their head off? Do they have to give them a bleeding nose? What's forceful and what's not? Take that out. And again, some are bins, some are not. Like, I don't have any problems with Jaden Stewart going to the bin, but I reckon I can pick out 10 tackles that were similar.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Nelson Solomona nearly knocked Origin Kasusi's head off, and he wasn't even looking at him, and it was a swinging arm with his fist closed, and there was no penalty even for that. So
and he dropped the ball as well when he got up to play it. Makatoa, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Makatoa, yeah, sorry, but it's the wording of it more so than anything.
Yeah, but isn't it like it's the same with reckless versus careless? It's like you might call something reckless, I might call it careless. Like it's all bullshit.
Like and as I said before, every tackle is forceful. Some are obviously more forceful than others. We saw Sammy Ballamay, a very forceful tackle, but
wasn't it?
It's still forceful if we're being literal with it. And look, we're simple blokes watching a simple game played by simple people, so it can't be too complex, and they're making it way too hard.
They're looking for easy outs, I think. It's either incidental contact where it bounces off the ball or, slips up off a shoulder, or it's clean contact and you go.
Yeah, that's right. It's got to be, like, even I thought the obstruction rule was black and white for a while, but even the first 3 rounds this year, that's not black and white anymore.
No, true.
So some of them are, some of them aren't. It's just everything. There's too many shades of grey.
There was 3 incidents. There was 3 incidents with offsides that were all different.
Correct. You know what? Simply with the offside, they need to make the rule. If you're in front of the kicker
and inside the 10,
and you go within 10, it's a penalty. Whether you stand there or not, if you're within a 10-metre radius of where the person gets the ball, that's a penalty. Don't worry about whether you're passive or whether you're not. If you're there...
A couple of years ago, that's what it was. But,
because we argued, and we both saw things differently. We didn't really talk about it last week, but the Brisbane one last week?
The Storm one.
Last week with Munster. And yes, he didn't get involved, but when he's in the play, the defender has to make a decision between... But the defender has to choose between one or the other. Yeah. And then when you fall over each other, you are in the play.
And he was still in front of him
whether you touched or not. If you're the fullback, you'll got one eye going this way and one eye going that way.
Well,
but Luai was clearly offside, and they didn't even check it in the Penrith game.
Well, what
was the other two?
It was like the Broncos-Cowboys game yesterday, right, where Kurt Capewell was offside from the kick, but then because the kicker got in front of him, because he ran him onside. I don't think I've really seen that call being made ever in recent years where he is then played onside by the kicker.
And the kicker didn't run him onside. If you watch the footage of that, and I know that in the WhatsApp group that I was on and Trent sort of put something on and I did, but then I rewatched the game and stopped it. Kelly was never in front of Capewell. As soon as Kelly kicked the ball, he got tackled or knocked over and fell over. He was never in front of Capewell.
And I thought Herbie was offside as well when Capewell kicked it the second time. So
again, that's what I mean. Like, it's just too murky, and people are getting pissed off. Like, I can see there being a Will Smith moment, and Will Smith the actor moment, where someone
bitch slaps a referee. Yeah, nice.
By the way, I don't think we're doing a slap this week. For this week only, it should be the Will Smith.
So we had Hynes on 124 Supercoach points.
Oh, yeah, you do that and then Ollie can...
Illawara on 89, and then we had 3 players from the Sharks before you got down to Bird on 66 for the Dragons.
Yeah, well, you brought the man up straight away that I wanted to talk about. Nico Hynes was probably the most impressive for me, especially with the way he's sort of moving into the halfback role. At the start of the year, I thought he'd probably be better off playing at 5'8". I had my questions over him playing halfback, but we've spoken before about how few really good game-controlling halves there are in the competition. To go back to what Gump was saying about Cronulla as a possible top 4 side, if he can sort of emerge over the next few weeks as a solid game-controlling half in the NRL, especially with the side he's got around him, Cronulla are going to come very close to the top 4. And someone asked me last night, they asked if Nico's been the buy of the season so far, and I've just been racking my brain, trying to see if I could figure out anyone else. I think he probably clearly is so far, of course, but...
And he's got something that most game-controlling halves don't have.
Buy of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Most game-controlling
halves...
Reynolds
nearly... we'll get to that.
As you mentioned, Reynolds, you look at guys like Reynolds and Hunt, they don't have the pace and the footwork that Nico's got as well. So if he does see something, he's more of a chance of actually busting through the line himself as well. So,
and he suits the way they play. Sorry.
One other moment from that game, Daggy, I'm sure you were impressed with your old mate Gozjevski going over for a try.
Outstanding.
The game. I'm sure that you were
it warmed
his name a bit there.
What was it, Josh Jevsky, did you just call him? I don't think we've heard that one.
Gozowski.
It warmed the cockles of what's left of my heart. It was a beautiful thing. And actually both Dragons plays were great. The Jack Bird ball from Ben Hunt was fantastic, and we're going to touch on Ben Hunt so much, but
he's good.
He is legitimately playing better than DCE at the moment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if it was picked tomorrow, I would be picking him in the Queensland team, but they probably won't, whatever that all means.
3, 2, 1s.
Oh, well, 3 Nico.
Yep.
I was going to be happy to be guided a bit here. 2 Ikuvalu and then 1 Ben Hunt, but Barney, you might have
I had Hunt
firmer
or
opinions.
Nakora and Ikuvalu for the 1, but...
Yeah, well, I had Nakora.
I thought Hunt was the second best player on the field easily, and then it was either Nakora or Ikuvalu.
I'd probably go Nakora, probably.
Gumpy?
I'd only go Brayley different. I thought he was outstanding.
He was outstanding. In the middle. Yeah.
Well, that's really left it to Sydney. Do rock off.
But again, I'm quite happy to go with what you guys say.
It's just on Brayley, though. Is he that player that pretty much every game this year is going to get 40 tackles?
Yeah, he did it all last year as well.
I feel like he could become the new Toto for us. You know what I mean?
His ball playing's quite good off the ground, but he's added that. He's starting to run that little bit more, and he's starting to bring his forwards onto the ball a little bit more, which he wasn't doing last year.
You know what he is? He's a good footballer now. It's a good football team.
Yeah. But he's moving. He's not standing still now. He's taking some steps. And they're the most dangerous we have. Yeah. Like your Harry Grant and that take steps.
They can go themselves, or it gives their forwards a little bit of lateral movement to try and pick a hole.
Everyone's moving.
Yeah. And that's what Harry Grant, obviously we've talked about lots, does so well. He gets, once Harry goes, they go, oh, shit, he's coming, and then it buys your forwards an extra metre or two. Excellent. Oh, well, let's go with... we didn't mention Finucane. Jeez, he's a good player.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And he'll keep being the fourth or fifth best player every game for the entire year and probably get 3 points by the end of the season. But
hey, well, maybe second for buy of the year so far.
Barn, it's your team. Who was your one? Ikuvalu?
No, Nakora.
I'll give it to Nakora then. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. But